I think we're going to see um, a few people come on now and again and talk about how, they're Israeli and, they don't agree with this. We had that, here in the United States, particularly in the Vietnam War. Uh, People protest, people don't agree. And most of the time, it's their right. But in Vietnam, people were leaving the United States and going to another country and fighting. In Israel, it's being attacked. It's been attacked. Not a small group of people are saying Israel has no right to survive. Not just say, Israel has no right to do what it's doing. They are saying they have to be wiped off the planet. Countries, other countries, country leaders are saying it openly. And then you'll get these little kids, I call them little kids because that's what they are, get up there and say, I don't want to be forced to defend my country. But, if they get captured, unless they're a little weasel, that guy reminded me of a weasel, and are able to become part of the enemy and spy on Israel or betray Israel, or in this case, do some little propaganda work against Israel, they'll expect Israel to come to their aid. But hopefully, and rightfully so, Israel will keep records of these people that didn't want to support Israel. Israel is under attack. What, they haven't shed enough blood for these people? Is that what they want? They want it to be 1,000 Israelis dead and 1,000 Palestinians dead. And then they'll say, okay, now it's an even fight, so okay, it's okay with me for Israel to defend itself. Israel is a better defender of its people, is the reality of this. Israel has governed its land better than the land has been governed in Gaza. I wonder where the water's coming from. People think that they may be fighting over oil or gas. I think it's a water war over water. And Gaza, if they took out their power plant, now they don't have no electricity. That's one thing. But where is the water going to come from? I don't see any lakes on these maps. I probably should do, a global Google thing and fly over Gaza and see if I can see any water in Gaza. Fresh water. They need fresh water. But then they get the fresh water. Where's the treatment plants, the water treatment plants? Now, this is not going to end pretty for the people of Gaza. This is not a war they should have ever even considered fighting. What the people of Gaza have to do, and what the people of Iran and Jordan have to do, is take them in, or they're going to be killed. Because Israel no longer can separate people. Well, you're a good Palestinian, you're a bad Palestinian, you're a good Palestinian, you're a bad Palestinian. Israel is saying, we are going to protect our people. That's what it is saying. That is what it's doing. And these little gutless, spineless weasels that are out there saying, well, we want our rights to join the army or not. Your country is under attack. Okay, I understand if you're just Jewish. and Israel isn't your country. I understand that. If you're an American and you're Jewish, I understand that. If you're Mexican and you live in America and Mexico goes to war with itself or its neighbor, you don't get all freaked out about it and leave the United States and fly off to Mexico and get involved in the war. Not most of the sane people don't do that. But if you were born and raised in Israel, or you live in Israel, or you've decided to move to Israel, and Israel has been defending you while you live in Israel, all the time you've been in Israel, well, if you don't think that you want to defend Israel, leave. Catch the next plane and go back where you came from. But Israel is defending itself. That's what Israel is doing. Yeah, Gaza's on fire. Would you be happy if Israel was on fire? Is that what some people want to see? Is that what they want to see? Is they want to see some destruction in Israel, some dead bodies in Israel, before Israel is going to be just... They're too smart for that. When are people going to get that Israel has been defending itself for a very, very long time? They aren't going to let this happen in Israel. They aren't marching into another country. Gaza is in Israel. And in my opinion, Gaza is a reservation. And this is why. This isn't the first war that Israel has been in against itself, in its own country. A war in your own country seems to be the theme in that part of the world. Syria is in a war in its own country. Iraq in a war in its own country. Libya is in a war in its own country. We're live streaming and focusing on Gaza because Gaza has live stream. But believe me, if they go to live stream in any of these other countries, I'll be there, commenting on that war, educating myself on that war. But, you know, I'm retired. This is all I have to do all day. I don't have to get up and go to a job and support a family and pay a mortgage and a car loan and, you know, all the things that other people have to do in America and around the world. So I can sit and watch this war and critique it, like many people do, like a game. And over here we've got the Israelis, and led by Benjamin Netanyahu. We don't even know who's leading in Gaza. But a moment ago they said that one of the leaders of Hamas's house was hit, but he wasn't there. But even if you cut off the head of this snake, even if you cut off the head, it'll grow another one. That is how deep the hate for Israel is. And it didn't just start 64 years ago. It's been like that for thousands of years. Why? I have no idea. But I know that Israel's God is older than Gaza's God. If you want to go down the God, whose God is better, I know whose God is older. The Palestinians, Palestine was named by the Romans. The Jews were around by then. They were around, trying to survive, being pushed around the world, being pushed out of one country to another country, until they settled in a place and decided to fight. not run anymore. We are not running anymore. That's what I imagine Benjamin Netanyahu sitting down saying. We are not running anymore. This is it. We take a stand or we die. Now then you got that little weasel. Well, I ain't gonna die for this. Okay, leave. Let the people who want to fight for Israel fight. That's what the people in Gaza are doing. I don't care what they say about innocent here and innocent there. There are no innocent people in war. If you're there, you're not innocent. If you keep your children there, you're not innocent. These countries that are in an uproar need to get with Israel and say, listen, or Egypt, and say, look, we're going to take these people. If you want to leave Gaza, come through Egypt and come and live with us in Iran. Be one of us. Well, some people say, well, they don't want to leave. Well, then die. And then you got the people in Israel that are saying, stop this war, it's unjust. Leave. Israel's got business to take care of. Leave. You don't have to stay there. It's not like Gaza. You can get on a plane and leave and come to the United States and complain. That's what we do here. Protest here like it's going to make a difference, because it doesn't. Israel is not going to stop because of some protest in New York. Israel isn't going to stop because of some protest in London. And Israel is definitely not going to stop because of some protest in Iran or Jordan. Israel's mind is set. It has a goal, and it's going to complete its goal before it even rethinks anything else. It's going to complete its goal. And its goal right now, according to the media, is to get rid of them tunnels coming into Israel. That is the weird. It's like they're like bugs. You know, they're ants. They've dug underneath Israel and they're coming in from underground. I mean, Jesus. Here in the United States, we got drug smugglers and human trafficking, and they're digging into the United States like bugs. And they're coming through tunnels into the United States like bugs. It's the real world. And we're watching it live. I think there's a 7-hour difference between St. Petersburg, Florida, and Gaza, Israel. That's what it is. It's Gaza, Israel. Gaza is in Israel. I don't care what some whack job in the chat say, what some Hamas leader says. Gaza is not its own. They won't let Gaza into the United Nations because it's not a nation. It's a reservation, is what it is. And right now, this reservation is at war. It attacked its own country. And, you know, they have their reasons. But, you know, if it's just like here in some of our ghettos, our bad neighborhoods, our poor neighborhoods, yeah, they're poor neighborhoods where it happens. It doesn't happen in a rich neighborhood or a middle-class neighborhood. It happens in a poor neighborhood. And maybe a gang will get settled into that neighborhood. And then the people are afraid of the gang. That makes sense, you know. They will kill you. They ain't playing. They ain't joking. They also ain't very old. They're young. You know, if you're 30 in a gang, you're an OG. If you're 30 in a gang. The reports of the age of Gaza is getting lower and lower. Last I heard that it was 60% are 15. That's who Israel is fighting. Teenagers. That's who they're fighting. But you get something like that settled into a ghetto in the United States. And the residents that live there, you know, they're afraid. Where am I going to go? I'm poor. I can't go nowhere. So the cops come in, and, you know, people don't want to cooperate with the cops because they're afraid of the gang. So the cops quit coming in. Or in some neighborhoods, it's so bad the cops come in, they shoot at the cops. They're snipers. They're hidden in the dark, and they shoot at the cops. So the cops quit coming in. There's a fire, they shoot at the fire department. The fire department quits coming in. Ambulance come in, they shoot at the ambulance. So the ambulance quits coming in. All of your help quits coming in. And you're standing there saying, well, you know, I didn't do anything. You know, I'm not part of this gang. I live here. I've lived here for 50 years. And when I call the police department, it doesn't come. Well, that's because somebody took over your neighborhood when you were sleeping. And you didn't do nothing then. And now you can't do anything. There's a war. That's what happened in Gaza. That's what's happening in Gaza. They let Hamas get a foothold. And Israel is being blamed for creating Hamas because Israel let Hamas get a foothold. So now people are saying, well, Israel's the one that created Hamas. Okay, well now Israel is trying to fix its mess ups. It let Hamas get a foothold. And now when they used to just be able to come in and spray, they can't do that anymore. They've got to put a tent on this reservation, just like if you have termites here in Florida. You can call Terminex, and they'll come and spray every month. You won't have a termite problem. They keep it under control. But then, one day, you can't afford Terminex. Or you just don't want them. You think they're a waste of money because you don't see that you need them. So you stop paying them. And the next thing you know, you've got termites everywhere. And your house has to be covered by a tent. That's what happened in Gaza. And that's why people are saying that Israel created Hamas. Because they let Hamas get a foothold. So they're to blame for creating Hamas because they didn't do anything to stop Hamas. Well, it is Israel's country. So on that they have a point. When a gang is formed in a neighborhood in the United States and it gets a foothold and they gain control of that neighborhood, it's the government's fault for creating that gang because they let them get a foothold. That's what they're saying. But that's only half of the truth. That's a twisted truth. Israel didn't create Hamas. As a government of Israel, it just didn't destroy it fast enough. Because it was listening to other people in their peace talks. We've got to have peace. Can we do this a peaceful way? Can we negotiate? Can we sit down and talk? And Israel said, see? They are saying, see? This is where your talk got us. Israelis are dying. One Israeli dead is one too many. That's what Israel says. That's how Israel feels about its people. They built a defense system in their own country to fight people that live in their country. And then people say, well, can you imagine what would happen if Gaza became its own country? Okay, so it's its own country. Where is it going to get its water from? Are they going to force Israel to give them water now? Okay, you're your own country, but actually, this is just the beginning. We want all of Israel. We just wanted to start here. Israel isn't foolish. And the American leaders aren't foolish. They know this. It's just the little chatters and the little teenagers in the United States that don't have anything else to do. So they get in and they side with the underdog because they're an underdog in their life. They're an underdog in their life. So they are going to pick any underdog. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what they've done or what they're doing. They're the underdog. We got to be on their side because we're an underdog. So we're going to join them. Or you're just a coward, like a lot of these people who are coming on TV saying that they don't want to join the Israeli army. They don't want to fight. Can't we do this peacefully? Well, like I said, when something happens to you, you shouldn't be able to call on the Israeli government to come to your aid. And hopefully, Israeli is keeping track of these 50 people. 50 out of millions are making all this noise. Well, that's the way it works when you have live stream TV and you have regular TV. It looks like they're really important. Somebody gets on TV, they're important. You see them on your computer, they're important. Well, they're not important. They're nothing. They're nothing but little weasels. That's what they remind me of. As long as everything is peaceful and good, they're okay with Israel. I'm Jewish. I live in Israel. But when the shit gets bad, that's when the real people stand up. Real people, whether you like some of these Republicans here in the United States or not, they stand up for what they believe in. And they are getting crazy here in the United States, believe me. And the only credit you can give them is that they stand up for what they believe in. The rest of it is just crazy. But Gaza's burning. And this war isn't going to come to an end anytime soon. But Israel knew that. Benjamin Netanyahu knew that. He knew that he wasn't going to come in, drop a couple of bombs, and it was going to be over. He knew that. They have people that's been studying this for years. They knew exactly what they were going to do, what they were going to hit, how long it was going to take to do it, and what they were going to be fighting. They didn't just come in swinging, mad, with no plan. Hamas's whole plan is to make the world watch. What they didn't anticipate is that the world is watching and it doesn't care. This is your fight. You figure it out. If you think that you can take down the military of Israel, go for it. But you're alone. The news I seen this morning that Iran is calling for arms to be sent to Hamas. Good luck with getting them in. Good luck with that. What are you going to drive a tank up to Gaza and then turn it over to Hamas? What are you going to do? How are you going to get these rockets in there? You're going to shoot rockets from Iran at Israel? Tel Aviv? You're gonna do that? No, it's just talk. It's just bullshit. And that's what they're full of. That's what these people in Gaza are full of, bullshit. And then they make it look like, well, it's Hamas, it ain't us, we're innocent. What a bunch of spineless pieces of shit. That's what they start to remind me of. Well, they killed 1,000 people in Gaza, and only 50-something people of Israel have been killed. Jewish people have been killed. Only 50-something. So, I mean, why kill 1,000 Palestinians? Well, they keep jacking around. It's going to be 10,000. It might be 100 Jews, but it's going to be 10,000 Palestinians. They're lucky that Israel is moving slowly forward and building a buffer zone. That's what Israel's doing. That's just my guess. I mean, nobody's called me and told me what's going on. I can watch and see for myself how they're doing this. They are clearing an area, and you could see that there's bulldozers in there clearing it and leveling it and creating a place where you can't cross and attack Israel. Those soldiers that got killed yesterday, I believe it was, got killed fighting people that were coming through those tunnels. Pretty soon they're going to have a problem finding gas for them ambulance. Does Hamas care? Does Hamas think that after all of this they're going to say, okay, we give up, and that's going to be the end of it? No, it's not going to work like that. You don't force somebody to kill 1,000 people and then just throw up your hands and say, okay, we surrender, and it's going to be over. The Jewish people today are hunting Nazi war criminals. Now, a lot of people want to compare the Jewish people right now to Nazis, because every time Israel defends itself, they act just like Nazis. That's what they say. Like, oh, we're going to insult them, and they're going to be insulted by that. You might do that on a one-on-one level, but you ain't going to do that to a whole country. You ain't going to say that you're acting just like Nazis. No, they're acting just like Jews. They're defending themselves. That's what they're doing. And defending yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stand and wait for somebody to punch you in the face. Defending yourself, a person who is smart will make sure that you don't get close enough to punch you in the face. That's what Israel is doing. It's building a buffer zone, and at the same time it's going and finding all these tunnels, and it's got a lot of work to do finding these tunnels. They already admitted they won't be able to find them all, but they're going to build this buffer zone that if you pop your head out of a tunnel, you will have had to be in a 1 or 5 mile tunnel. And that's why the land that the Palestinians lived on keeps getting smaller. Not because Israel is in there trying to take this land from them. This land ain't all that. Like I said, where's the water at? Where is the water? If they sat on big lakes, big oil wells, big gas reserves. But from the looks of this city, I don't see nothing but buildings. I don't see no water. I don't see no refineries. I don't see no pumping stations. And I don't see no lakes. So what is it that people think Israel wants? Well, if you're a hater and you're a little coward and you're misinformed, you're going to say, well, they want the land. Oh, great. Yeah, let's give me some more desert. Exactly what I need. Let's add some desert to our portfolio. That's what we need, more desert. That's what it reminds me of. Just stupid people saying stupid things. And some of them, I know some of them, they ain't kids. I have seen them for years, watched them in chats, and they're not kids. But, they are underdogs. So it doesn't matter who's right and who's wrong. They are going to pick the underdog side. Two kids get in a fight. They don't care how the fight got started, but they'll pick the loser of the fight, even though the loser started the fight. Well, they hear the story, and it turns out that the loser had punched the other kid first. And the other kid says, well, you know what? I'm not going to give you a chance to ever punch me again. I am going to kick your ass so bad you'll remember this when you're 90 years old. And he commences to kick his ass. So then the people on the side, they step in and say, well, you didn't have to beat him that bad. Well, yes, I did. He didn't have to hit me one time. He didn't even have to do that. But he did. He made that decision. And then the victor, the winner, decided that he was going to make sure that this person never did this again. Not only not to him or her, but to anybody else. And, it works. It works. If you've had your ass severely beaten because you made the mistake of hitting the wrong person, you're going to think twice before you ever hit anybody again. That happens in the lower levels. We're dealing with governments here. And I believe that's what Israel is doing. Israel is not only protecting itself by building a buffer zone, but it's showing the world what happens if you shoot rockets at Israel. When this first started, everybody was saying, well, all Hamas wants is for, them to be able to fish farther out. And all Hamas wants is, the borders to be open so they can come and go as they please. That's all they want. That's what people thought Hamas wanted. And then the leaders come on and they said, no, we don't want to be our own state. We don't want Israel to exist. But people don't get that because they pick the underdog. They see these crying, dying babies on TV, and that means this war has to stop, and it has to stop now. We don't have any live stream in Israel. We don't have anybody set up watching the rockets come over into Israel. We don't have that. So as we watch this, it looks like Israel is a bully. That's what it looks like. And when they take us down into the hospitals and the little kids are coming in and babies and youngsters, that's all that's left here is youngsters. I don't get how they think that youngsters aren't going to get killed in this war when that's all there is there. Who do they think is shooting the rockets? Some old man in his 80s? It might be a guy in his 50s, possibly 60s, running Hamas, bullshitting them, leading them through this destruction. But this is a young country. You don't live to be very old, apparently, in Gaza. And Israel continues to bomb, and Gaza is burning. I remember when we first started watching that, I thought they hit a pipeline, that it was some kind of pipeline they hit. Turns out the city was burning. Parts of these neighborhoods were just burning. I don't know if they have how they cook their food on electricity or gas, or how they do it. I don't know. but it's being reported that that their power is off in Gaza. Their main plant has been hit.
It's 8 o'clock.
And water, again, they've got to get their water from outside of Gaza. And they've been having to do that for a while, because I was watching another streamer and he says you really can't drink the water here. That was Democracy Now! And Democracy Now! Was starting up. And they didn't care if I wanted them to or not. They were going to start. So, when this is all over, and again, Israel stops bombing, because it will stop bombing once it stops Hamas. Because when they push them back far enough, they won't be able to shoot them rockets. They won't be able to. You need to be able, you can't shoot a rocket from like this neighborhood. Like you have to be on the backside of these buildings, because the rocket has to clear. It's not going to go straight up, and then these rockets they're not smart at all. You have to aim them. These rockets aren't going to go straight up, make a right-hand turn, and go to Israel. These rockets are just, these are old rockets. In other words, Hamas is fighting Israel with rocks, not rockets, rocks. They might as well just be standing there throwing rocks. And their victory is to kill one Jew. Just one. That's all they want. They're happy with killing one. So they've killed 50-something Israelis. And the Israelis have killed 1,000-something people in Gaza. And you've got the crybabies in some of these chats and channels that I have on my site saying that, Israel is deliberately killing the children. They have precision targeting. They are shooting specifically at something. And you got the people in the chat saying, yeah, they're shooting at the kids. They're shooting at the hospitals. They're deliberately killing the Palestinians. That's what they say. They're deliberately killing the people, the innocent people. There are no innocent people. Like I said, Israel will never be able to sort them out. You're good, you're bad. You'll kill us, you won't. Israel will never be able to do that. There is always going to be somebody who's going to remember this. And it's not always going to be with fear. But Israel has to carry this iron hand as long as there's an Israel. And the problem with allowing a place like Gaza to develop, it's like a cancer. And they are getting an example of what people say. People are saying that Israel created Hamas. Israel created Hamas. That's what they're saying. And then when you read the facts, it's Israel didn't kill Hamas soon enough. Well, they aren't going to be tagged with that here in the future. And Israel is saying we aren't done yet. And we are not stopping till we're done. Because every time we stop with your peace bullshit, we get attacked. They don't attack you and your peace bullshit. They attack us. That's what Israel is saying. As far as support Gaza gets more humanitarian aid than any country in the world. 2 or 3 times more than Israel gets. Israel puts its aid into defending itself, and who knows what Gaza did with its. Who knows what they did with theirs. They obviously didn't build a water treatment plant. They obviously didn't develop their infrastructure. They seem to have plenty of tunnels and rockets. And that's all they could buy with their humanitarian aid. That's what they invested in. But Israel is saying, no mas. No mas. And they are walking the walk. And, you know, all these little cowards can say what they want. That they aren't going to fight. And that we shouldn't be doing this. And the world is watching. The world is watching. And Gaza is burning. And Israel is being blamed. While Hamas continues to shoot rockets. And they say, well, this is the worst bombing lately. Well, yeah, they're getting into the center of the hornet's nest now. We'll keep an eye on this fire and we'll see if it goes from left to right in time. Tomorrow that fire may be in the middle and then further to the left. Because these cameras aren't going anywhere. These cameras are documenting this war. There was a 6-day war and Israel won that. This is 24 days into this war. And Israel is going to win this. Because Israel was smart enough not to allow the people in Gaza to get a lot of weapons. Because they lived in Israel. Whether it's good or bad, whether Israel should do more, it doesn't matter. What matters is they live in Israel. And if they don't like it, when they could have left, they should have left. And now they can't? Why? Why won't Egypt open the doors, let them through? They can go over to Iran. They can move in with Iran. Pretty much the same culture, I guess. Same language. Same way of thinking. They all want Israel dead. They need to go over to Iran and join up with them. They can't cross into Jordan. Because they have to go through land of that Israel don't want them to cross through. They may have to be guarded while they leave because they don't know who's leaving. They don't know how many fighters are leaving when they leave. Yeah, it's an open-air prison. But I think that it's a prison they created themselves. Because they could have left. They could have left a long time ago. But they chose to stay. And people do that. And now this is what they have to live with. War. This isn't like this suddenly came upon them. They've been through this before. They don't even flinch when the bombs go off. The reporters are all ducking their heads and getting all nervous and shell-shocked and everything. And the people in Palestine just say, oh yeah, it was just a bomb. Don't worry about it. There'll be another one coming pretty quick. They're used to it. They send their kids out to play. There's a war going on. And the kids are out playing soccer. Yep, looks like a big problem. And the world is watching. Babies are dying. And the world is crying. But you could step in and fix this. The world. It can step in and fix this. And then next month, they'd be at it again. And then they would say, well, Israel and the world created this, whoever the new government becomes. they'll blame somebody else. It's kind of like a thief. He breaks into your house. Well, I wouldn't have broke in had you left the door open, but you left the door open. I had to break in. I was compelled to break in because you left the door open. So now it's your fault. It's your fault your house got broke into. Well, it wasn't broke into. You left the door open, so it's your fault. That's the mentality of a lot of these people. They twist and turn and twist and turn to where people watching don't even want to watch no more because it's so confusing. I'm so confused. I don't know what to think. I've been watching this war for 23 days, and then I find out that the people that are fighting Israel was created by Israel. And it goes back to, I left my door open, and when I got robbed, it was my fault for leaving the door open. That's the way they twist things. And you know, if your mind doesn't work in a certain way, you'll hear Israel created Hamas, and you stop right there. And then that's the propaganda that you spread. That's what happens in these chats. They do that. They say Israel created Hamas, and then they stop right there. That's the end of it. Look it up. So you go and you look it up, and there's a big old headline saying Israel created Hamas. So you don't read the story. You just see the headline. Israel created Hamas. But some of us read the story, and we find out that Israel allowed Hamas to get its strength. It didn't have really another choice other than to do this. And at the time it was trying to do this peacefully, diplomatically. And Hamas hadn't started its rocket attacks. Probably didn't have an arsenal yet, wasn't ready yet. It was building and getting ready. It was hiding these rockets all over, digging these tunnels all over, thousands of them. From 2006 to now. That's a lot of time to dig a lot of tunnels. Some of these tunnels were pretty well built with concrete and stuff. Concrete that was meant to build buildings. They were siphoning off and not building buildings, they were building tunnels. So then we hear that Israel created Hamas because it didn't stamp it out soon enough. It's your fault your house got broke into because you didn't lock the door. It's your fault you got raped because you dressed a certain way. See? That's the way they do things. That's the way they think. And that's the way they try to make people think. And it works on a lot of people. It works on people who are the underdogs of the world. And there's a lot of them. But being an underdog usually means you're not going to stick to your cause for very long. Today it's Gaza, tomorrow it's Syria, next day it's Libya. And then after we're done with all that, then we got to attack McDonald's. And when we're done with that, we got to attack Walmart. We got GMOs, and we got gun control, we got gay rights, and we got immigration. This is the flavor of the day. And it's live. And Gaza's burning. Have a good day.